Redraw. Redraw. Do you remember? Redraw. Redraw. Do you remember? Redraw.
Hello, everybody. We're on, right? We're still on. Audio's still good, I think. Kasu, give us
I'm also here.
Yeah, give us a little audio test.
Yeah, check 1, 2.
All right, everyone sound
Is that
good?
come
Okay.
across right?
Yeah, let us know, folks, if the music's too loud. Usually I bring it down. Oops. But I think our mics are pretty good. All right, folks, welcome back to another riveting episode of Redraw. We have returning guests, actually our first guest from this segment, my buddy Kasu Hearts, who was very kind to spend 2 hours already with me on this stream. Let's freaking go. But yeah, so for those who are new to the show, and also thank you to the folks that stuck around from the first 2 hours.
Yeah.
For those new to the show, Redraw is a segment where we dive into the deepest recesses of our memory. And I spring a mystery theme to my guest, and we try our best to remember as much as we can from this theme and try to draw some of the characters and designs from memory without looking at any reference whatsoever. Kasu, you've already done this before.
Yep.
What I told you a little bit before we did this episode was that I'm going to try challenging us with a marathon, which I feel like we already just did a marathon of making short comics for 2 hours.
Elongated warm up. Yeah.
I hope this doesn't turn you off from another round of just marathon drawing. I think it just makes us stronger.
Yeah, I mean, what are you talking about? I was coerced into drawing a poop that pee.
Yeah. So you're already just like, your mind is already elastic. It's stretched. It's ready to create. All right. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and reveal the theme that is both special to you and to me. Again, I think you're watching the stream, so maybe you'll see this.
Yeah.
Here we go, folks. The theme for tonight is Garbage Galaxy, the board game that no one has ever heard of except for our small group of friends. Kasu, do you want to tell the audience what Garbage Galaxy is?
All right. So, in another life, I worked at a board game store, and one of the things I liked doing was playing a lot of board games. And eventually, you play enough board games, you think, hey, it'd be kind of cool to make my own board game. And so what we ended up doing was we sort of collabed on a whole concept for a board game that was Garbage Galaxy. It is a intergalactic race between different alien races, spacefaring garbage collecting races that their whole cultures revolve around the act of collecting garbage for the galaxy. And they all have their own strengths, their weaknesses, their way of going about things, the way they view garbage in their society. And that was how they're going to basically play in this little sandbox as, you collected garbage and used abilities against each other and whatnot. But it was, a fascinating little project about, how do we do something that has like a really cool identity visually and like conceptually, and then just make a board game out of it.
Yeah, and this was what, like a few years after high school that you started this, because I only joined because I love the designs that you made, and we'll get into this a little bit. Actually, I have a graphic ready that has all the designs already on there, but I don't think it's going to be good for the game, so maybe I'll save that for later. But so I joined along when you were already developing this game. What inspired you to start working on something like this?
Yeah, I think the main thing was that, like, I wanted to make sort of cartoony hooks for stuff because I was really into a couple of Cryptozoic titles. Cryptozoic was a company that was making a few really like cartoony over the top games at the time. They weren't necessarily cartoony as in like, oh, this is like a kids sort of trying to go for a kids audience. They're cartoony
any
in a
games
way
you
that,
know?
so definitely Epic Spell Wars. That's like a title that they've sort of reiterated on like over the course of history. They also did a game called Food Fight, and but like
that's right.
most
Yes,
of it
yes,
is
yes. I love Food Fight.
yeah, and so most of it was just just having something that was like a very quirky like aesthetic, a board gamey thing, and then it kind of morphed from there because like as I mentioned earlier, like I just kind of threw myself into the world of board games, and yeah, just you see a lot of aesthetics that like sort of stand out to you, and you're like, okay, well, what if I do something similar to that, right?
Yeah.
And I think I was just seeing a lot of things that were like that at the time, and I also wanted a game that would play very well for just a casual gamer, right? Because like I would consider myself sort of a hardcore board gamer in terms of like what kind of stuff that I like, right? Stuff that like I wouldn't necessarily bring around to parties or anything like that, right? Like I have a very regular board game like meetup where we play like things that we probably spend the whole day learning how to play.
Yeah, I mean, bring an example for you. I have one that I remember you introducing to us, but what would be a good example of one of those games that is not meant for casual players, but you really enjoy?
Not meant for casual players, but I really enjoy. I think one that I always would bring up would be like, it's weird because like my old collection is like it's just this monolith list of all these games that I forced everybody to play at the time. Yeah.
I can bring one of them up. One I really enjoyed was Kemet, which was like it was like an Egyptian style. Like the theme was a very kind of what do they call it? They call it I forget what it's called. Like how there is when something is overly themed Japanese, they call it like Orientalism, when basically somebody is kind of appropriating a culture's theme. There's a version of it for Egypt where everyone was obsessed with making an Egypt themed something, and then this game Kemet was like an Egypt themed Risk. But it had more supernatural, like it had a kind of like a card building mechanic where you would get these tiles that would aid you in your win goals. Do you remember that one?
Yeah. So the thing about Kemet is Kemet is a beautifully designed game because it's a territory control game that like is inherently confrontational. It is one of the few games that is like at that time that I played that was like, hey, don't be afraid of fighting because this whole game wants you to fight. Yeah. So like that was sort of the thing because like I'm always like even when we're playing like Civilization, I love playing passively. I love playing peacefully. Yep. I will spend entire games doing like religious victory or something like that, right? Because that's just the kind of person that I am, right? And I think with Kemet was one of the first times where I was like, oh, like this is great because like even if you don't like fighting, like the whole game is just fighting, so you just kind of get over it. Right. And Kemet is like not only is it territory control, but it's also a worker placement game. And what that sort of entails is that you had this board that essentially you put workers on to do an action, right? On your turn, you're limited to the actions that are on your board, and every time you do one, you cover up that space with a little tile, and so essentially you lose your options as you continue on in the game. You can only do them a certain amount of times. Let's say that like you had a movement action that you can do. That movement action is one tile, right? You can't do another movement until you have another tile of that type opened up again, right? So it's one of those things where it would just evolve over time, and like it's a lot of emergent gameplay,
right? And I remember it like, yes, exactly. There was a lot of things you had to keep track of in regards to how your troops were moving along, what tiles you were using to kind of create these passive benefits to your win condition, and it was a definition of a pretty overly complicated game. Now, when you were first designing Garbage Galaxy, what did you like what did you hope to like achieve with like the gameplay?
I think it's just mostly because like at the time, I think what I felt was that within my wheelhouse, a simple game is what I'm looking for in terms of like designing, because like I don't think I have the intelligence, the patience to design anything like more complicated than that at the time, especially.
Yeah.
Just trying out game design for the first time, and I think this is something that is like amazing about tabletop gaming, is that like if you want to design a game, you can just do it.
Yeah.
You just grab some paper and you can just do it. And that's very validating as if you're trying to like explore design, right? Because you can put something in the paper and you can do it and you can see if it works, right? With gaming, game design is very much like there's a higher barrier of entry there, because like you need the tools to do it, you need the
To learn how to
programs
code,
to do it,
right? To learn how to
yeah, and
model,
it's a lot of patience for coding and modeling and animating and all that stuff, right? With tabletop gaming, you just need a pen and a paper and you can already start doing stuff.
Yeah.
You can even get away with just having a deck of poker cards and just create a game out of that.
Right, totally. And so so I'm curious actually, do you remember the characters pretty vividly?
Yeah, it's like I could probably I might miss a few, but I think the good majority of them.
There's a few ways we can do this. We can try to remember what the designs were, or do you see that handy little color wheel that I stuck in the middle of our screen here?
Oh yes, the mysterious wheel of color. Yes.
So, to give some context to folks, when we were designing characters, and this is why I had this graphic beforehand, and maybe this is what I'm going to do, because I think we remember the characters pretty accurately, and I think that's too easy of a challenge. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to show my graphic. So when Kasu was first developing this game, these were the drawings that I was really drawn to. Kasu drew these on a set of a six-sided die that became kind of the core principles of the game. There was kind of a mechanic where you roll how many pieces of trash you could pick up. It could be 2, could be 1, or it could be nothing at all, and you can see the characters. Very, very endearingly drawn by Kasu, being a little sad that there wasn't any trash. And then I came along and I said, I really love these characters. And this is something I drew on my first tablet, my Wacom, back in 2013 maybe. And I really fell in love with these characters. And I think the color coding, correct me if I'm wrong, Kasu, but was it just because those were the only pens you had like to draw these characters? Was these?
Yeah, so a lot of this was just because like I had these pens, these colored pens, and all of the characters were designed around those colors that I had. Like from their visuals to their names, everything about them was just because I had those pens at the time.
Yeah, and so there's a theme already going on with these aliens, where they were based off of the color wheel. And these were some of the first bits of card art that we did back after high school, where we had these species. So we had the Riddas, a race of hoarders renowned for their selfish nature. They will compulsively loot any trash within their claw-like grasps. We had the Bloxel that were a little more occult, a race of creatures made out of trash. Oh, no, sorry, this is the wrong... hold on, I have a copy right over here. The Bloxel, a highly religious species that worships trash as totems of their sacred deities. And then we had the Brogak, which I never understood what color the Brogak was supposed to be. It was just be black, or is it supposed to be brown?
Yeah, it was just black, because it was just the black pen.
Mysterious beings who appear around large amounts of debris. It's said they store their collected trash in black holes. And then the Poop Blocks, which were my favorites, a race of creatures made out of trash. Poop Blocks absorb the garbage around into their bodies. Greg Nor, a race with a long history of enslavement. They now run an interplanetary waste management.
I love the Greg Nor.
And the Orant, my second favorite. These noble environmentalists have taken it upon themselves to voluntarily tidy up their planet. And so there was kind of this aspect of like thinking about not just alien species, but thinking about how different ways you can use the concept of trash and trash collecting into how, that to define essentially how these species operate. And
yeah, it was
then-
almost like a cultural kind of like exercise,
Yeah. Like we had here with the Riddis, they're kind of in the sandcastle planet. I had a lot of fun drawing a lot of this trash, just creating a lot of visual litter, as it's often called in or environmental litter, what it's called in video games. But this is very early Josue art. And then this is what the concepts that came a little later. This is probably 2017 maybe, like when I was finishing college. I gave the designs another. I was just trying to learn how to paint a little better. I really like this poop block design with the trash lid head.
Awesome.
I turned the Orand into more kind of like a hippie character. I turned the Gregnor into a luchador for some reason. Those muscles look a little bulbous. And then the Brogak became more of like this like half cybernetic alien, and then
more mysterious, yeah.
Yeah, and then the Block Soul still kept its kind of occult nature. And here we had some of the examples of some of there were space station cards and planetary cards, and these are some of the first ones that we developed. And essentially, Kasu, would you want to describe kind of how the game played?
Yeah, so in its very like early stages, it was essentially just like you just draw cards and you play cards. Like whatever you drew, you just played it out and you would just do a bunch of actions. Every card sort of every type of card represented a certain type of action that you can take. And so we divided the game up into basically 3 types. You had planets, space stations, and warp gates. Warp gates were sort of like a trump card that had like special abilities. And then planets and space stations would be things that you would encounter, and they would allow you to do different things. Like planets allowed you to explore if you discarded them, and then space stations allowed you to move around if you discarded them. Right? It was very dependent on like just like if you got one or the other, that's what you would be doing on your turn. And you'd travel around a bunch of different locations on the board, just doing these effects, and then just using your abilities, and that's pretty much it.
Yep. So I remember having a lot of fun playtesting this with our friends. I think life just ends up happening, and we just never really touched this as much as it really touched our hearts, and we wanted to get back into it. So I thought it'd be the perfect theme for today. So the game that I wanted to present to you, because these characters are already pretty cemented in our minds.
Uh-huh.
I was thinking there are 15 colors on that wheel. So that's 12 plus black, white, and gray. Do you think in the next 2-ish hours we can challenge ourselves to create one alien for every color on that wheel each? Is that excessive?
Yeah.
You think we can do it?
Not only is it doable, but I think that this will be super fun.
Okay, so here's what we'll do. We'll start with a color, and then we'll, the naming convention of the aliens was, the first letter starts with the color. So if it's red, it's Riddis. If it's blue, it's Bloxel. So let's start off with, we'll start with yellow. We're both going to draw a yellow species alien.
Cool.
You'll come up with your name for yours. I'll come up for the name for mine. And then what I'm gonna do, I don't know if this will help, because I feel like all the aliens have a distinct character of what kind of like, or you know what? Let's just go ahead. Let's start with this first one. Let's choose yellow. Let's draw a yellow alien, and then we'll share essentially what the concept is and what kind of alien they are. Now, should this be timed?
Should
we warm up with one
and
and then see how we feel?
Yeah, because on one side, it's an interesting aspect of like if there is a time limit, we're going to be a little bit more stressed about it. And I think that's going to be very fun.
Okay. So let me hold on. Let me set a timer here. And I should I'm going off the seat of my pants here because I should have put a timer on the stream, but let's see. Let me see if I can. Hold on. Give me 1 second.
All right. Yeah, in the meantime, I got a pretty decent little splash logo here.
I know,
Yeah, it's
I
just
love
like
that.
this. There's just something about this theme that is so funny to me because it really was just a vessel to create interesting characters and interesting, what is it, like anthropology, I guess, regarding these races. It was just a big creative experiment, and the game almost feels secondary to it, you know.
I know it is kind of like it just ends up happening where I think we have a lot of fun with the world building, and we actually had a couple of friends writing flavor text for a lot of the cards, which is also a fun exercise. All right, give me 1 second here.
Recall. Do you remember? Recall. Recall.
I think this will work. Should we do it 5 minutes? Is that enough time?
5 minutes. I feel like that's fine, right? Yeah, let me just
Let's
save.
get yeah. We'll
this
adjust if it
nonsense.
feels like it's let me see here. I think this will work. Look at that. All right.
An overlay, spicy.
Now we're fancy. All right. I'll put it right here. All right. So that's. Oh wait. How come it's not
It's right there.
Yeah, but it's
you
not.
just need to start
it's
it.
not changing the. Hold on. I see. I gotta do a screen capture. 1 second.
Yeah.
So, this might be hard to kind of draw and think and talk at the same time, but how do you approach character design when you're first starting out?
I mean, for me, a lot of it definitely comes down to like, I think about like the chunks, right? I like to think of it as like chunks, right? When you're designing characters, you take an aspect of the character that can be boiled down to a single word, and then you just take a few of those chunks, and with that, then you can kind of gather your references and then start building on that. A lot of the times I'll just be sitting there, sort of like imagining a scene in which this character is like moving or something like that, and I just kind of go off of that, right? I don't know. It's a very fluid kind of process that I have, at least that works best with me. A lot of the times in the past, I've just kind of winged it, and like without even thinking, I would just like put it to paper and just like, you know, and I'm pretty sure that's basically what happened with the original Aliens, right? Where they were just doodles,
Yeah.
on the spot, right?
Which is a pure form of just coming up with a design, you know?
Yeah,
You're just kind of like, you're not overthinking it. You're just like, wait, were you in class when you made this? I can't remember. Did you start this in senior year of high school?
No,
or was
this
it after.
This would have to be after, because yeah, I was already at the game store at this time. I believe so, right? I guess it would just depend, because I think I remember you talking about how you had access to print cutting stuff, and
That's
how we
right.
had that
That's right.
initial-
Because that's how we did our first prototypes. All right. I'm gonna start
Yeah,
the timer.
yeah.
You ready for this?
Yeah. Let's do
Okay,
this.
ready, set, and go. 5 minutes.
All right, a yellow character. Um, I mean, I guess like what comes to mind is like what are things that are yellow in I guess in our cultural like knowledge, right?
Yeah, like flowers, lemons. That's one way to bring it up. I think with the aliens, what I'm trying to draw on right now is I used to have my siblings really were into cryptids, and they had books on like first encounters, and like there was just really great illustrations of the classic like Flatwoods monster or the Gray.
Oh, yeah.
And those images really stuck to me. So when I'm thinking of alien right now, currently, I'm trying to think of like old like first encounter aliens or like Men in Black aliens that had a lot of great designs themselves. And then I guess we have to juxtapose that with like garbage collectors, which is the other important part of this concept, right?
Yeah. I feel like that's the thing that kind of makes this easy, right? Because we have such an established world already.
Yeah.
We're only applying like what's the hook of this race, right? Because like we know that they're gonna have some sort of relationship with garbage, sort of reason for why this race specializes in collecting garbage.
Yeah. You just gave me a great idea, and I don't mind sharing my homework here. You know what is a great like cleaning garbage related item that is yellow? The dishwashing gloves.
Yeah.
Which is I think would make a great addition to the characters. I see you're going for like a kind of hazmat kind of suit.
Yeah, I think what speaks to me for this is maybe like something that's like this is a science-based race of aliens that they venerate the lab, and maybe collecting garbage is sort of their way of studying the galaxy.
Oh, interesting. So kind of like if aliens were to visit the remains of planet Earth, they would find layers of plastic crust, and they'd essentially deduce from that who we were. Just terrible aliens.
Terrible, wasteful aliens. I think, like what is also really interesting about like doing something like that is just I guess the idea of like, so what is this science going towards, right? Because it's not just studying; it's also like putting into effect what we learn, right? So maybe they synthesize like particular chemicals, and that makes it that's the reason why they're always like in these hazmat suits, because they're always dealing with dangerous chemicals. They're probably visiting like extremely vile like garbage dumping zones that have been, almost like a mutant, it's that whole idea of like the nuclear testing zones, and how like what does nuclear energy do to these ecosystems, right? Yeah, and like what if it was that, but it was just garbage, like it was just like litter, right? Like what would that turn a planet into? And maybe that's how they like have synthesized particular energies and fuels and whatnot.
Biofuels. I mean, in our planet, we're turning like methane or rotting things into like biofuels, which is interesting. Garbage has a lot of uses. I don't think we researched much about garbage. I think we just mainly stuck with rather stereotypical and cartoonish understandings of how garbage collection and processing works. But I think if we're revisiting this idea, like with more time, of course, I think it would be fun to kind of actually study how this stuff works. And Kasu, we got 5 seconds.
No way.
Yeah, dude. So, what?
Okay, so
how'd you feel about that time?
I think I just spent it talking. Like, I mean, I got the design.
Yeah,
That's the thing
yeah.
that I got.
Finish
I got the
coloring
design.
it. Finish coloring. I'll talk about my
Yeah.
design while you finish.
Yeah,
Coloring
yeah.
yours.
Describe yours.
Yeah. So I like this idea of, I guess when I start designing a character, I'm very shape focused first. And so oftentimes that could mean not necessarily if the color yellow inspired anything in me to create the shape, but just more like, okay, what's a line we can make that's fun? And usually I'll start off with kind of circle or very bulbousy shapes. So for this character, it didn't really start to come together until Kasu had talked about like different kinds of cleaning or different ways of interpreting garbage, and I got to thinking about yellow dishwashing gloves. And then the way the rest of the head kind of came about was, okay, this can kind of look like a mop, or like have like a mop of hair, which also feels like kind of like cleaning kind of. I feel like I can add some lines here to help. He's kind of like a Wookiee looking character.
Yeah. I kind of really like this concept of just how like you went with like sort of a furry alien, right? Where it's just like this is the kind of race I'm going, where, as opposed to like me, where I went with like, okay, well, this is something that's like a fully suited up race of aliens, right?
Yeah, I think the alien design in general, though, there was like again, going back to those old First Encounter books, there was like an alien that was essentially kind of a Chewbacca-like character. And here's the funny thing about you learn about First Encounters of aliens. Oftentimes, they'll surge when a sci-fi movie comes out. Like the moment Star Wars comes out, all of a sudden the aliens that people are being abducted by look like Wookiees and Ewoks. And anytime like a new movie like Independence Day or something comes out, the saucers suddenly start to look a little more spherical or flat. And so basically the consensus is that folks are just kind of filling in the gaps with what they've already seen.
That's what they know. Yeah.
And so unfortunately to date, I don't think we've actually had any real aliens meet humans. Sorry to disappoint folks. Yeah.
Well, you don't know for sure, because I mean, if we think about how I got these designs for the aliens in the first place, it could have just been me subconsciously,
right? Because if you got
showcasing my
abducted,
abduction knowledge,
yeah, if you got abducted, you wouldn't know. They'd mind wipe you, right? So
maybe they'd keep it in there just so that, like, there's the plausible deniability of like, oh, this fucker's crazy.
They keep it in there kind of the same way a browser caches cookies. It's so that when they abduct you again, they don't have to like process all your data. So they they just easy access,
Yeah. Cool.
All right.
We got our stuff.
Oh, what will you name your alien?
Oh man, I hate that you asked me this.
Yeah, this is hard.
I have to remember it. Let's go with the Yorlop.
That's a good one. I'm gonna go with Yopel.
The Yopels and the Yorlops.
Yeah.
Just like the mamas and the papas. Yeah.
Cool. All right, we got one down. Look at that. We're moving along. All right.
That was pretty brisk. It was good.
Do you want to pick the next color?
Ooh, okay. All right. So I guess I'd like for us to maybe visit a color that we've touched before, right? So I'm gonna go with the sort of the deep green, right? Because I mean, because we have that sort of
so there's a lime green
experience
and
with the
you're
Gregnor,
the other
right?
green, right?
Yeah, the other green.
Okay. What if we find out today that we're like colorblind? Like we're just like, you want that yellow or the other murky?
The other one that is also yellow.
All right. So we're doing the deeper green, right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna set the timer to 5 minutes. You ready to go?
Yeah. Let me just make sure I got that green. Okay. All right. Let's do this.
And 3, 2, 1. All right. So I'm trying to really try hard not to do the Gregnor. So
Right?
I'm gonna try to do. So I'm starting with a slightly more blocky shape,
Recall.
but I wanna do something different.
Do you remember?
Oh, okay, I got an idea.
Recall.
So green makes me think a bit about like disease. And so maybe
Yeah.
maybe there's something here where it's like,
Redraw.
yeah, I'm gonna redo this. Here's the thing about working with a timer is like erasing your stuff is actually just killing you time-wise. I think I have an idea here.
Green.
Green can also be like moldy. Green can also be slimy. I think my idea is very COVID-19 inspired right now. So we'll see how this comes out. I wish we need more facts about waste management to share with the audience here.
I mean, it's kind of crazy how we did all this without a single actual piece of experience regarding
We were LARPing.
waste management.
We were LARPing waste management folks.
What do they say? Fake fans?
Fake fans. I will say though, like what I really appreciated from us working on this project was, so one concept that we learned in design school from my mentor Julio Martinez, he was really focused on trying to get you to think laterally. So basically, finding the solutions that you often won't think about right away. And one of the exercises we did was a juxtaposition exercise where you get two concepts, let's say a war tank and a snowman. And you try to combine those two ideas in however many combinations you can, and essentially design something entirely new from those two ideas. And I think what we did was aliens and garbage, and it just became a really fun and unique juxtaposition of ideas.
Yeah, it's a lot of just smashing things together.
Yeah.
And it's like you feel like it, like, you know, on paper, like you feel like that shouldn't work, but really, like, that's how most of it works.
Mm-hmm. I think the one thing he used to say all the time was whether something was expected. Like if you came up with an idea for a design or something, he'd tell you that's too expected. And that really stuck with me because essentially, like, you want to make sure you're not coming up with the same answer some other schmo like would also come up with, and that's kind of what gives you an edge on a design. So just putting in that little extra effort to like think of something different. Oh geez, we got 45 seconds, and I'm not sure I'm upset with my design yet.
You got this.
Yours is looking great. Okay, I think I got something here. I need something here though. I need like. Okay, I'm gonna need some extra time to color this thing.
Yeah, I'm on coloring right now too. So no worries.
But I'm really enjoying the kind of creativity that this pressure is giving us. Like no time to overthink. Yeah, you have to commit. You're not overthinking the idea too much. Alright, let me start coloring this guy. But super happy to be revisiting this world with you again, because I know we've talked about it constantly. So I figured
almost every single time.
Yeah, I figure if we can't dedicate like a lot of time to it right now, we could at least do something here.
Yeah, and what's nice is that I'm always kind of game designing.
Yeah.
I think that's something that like I'm very consistent with in my free time, because like I just flip something open and I just start opening a Google Doc and I start writing stuff, because like, you know, there is sort of a high to, you know, because you're like, oh, I'm creating something.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit more about how you start the process of like thinking about a game mechanic or a game design?
A lot of it comes from yeah, I mean, you know, you play enough games and you're just like, oh, like, you know, I really like this mechanic, or I really like how this game does this, right? And that always almost like universally just leads to like, oh, what if I made a game that had something similar, or what is this game missing that I would have liked to see, right? And you start filling in the gaps, and that becomes your own game. And then sometimes it's like a physical thing, right? So like, you know, a lot of times like I will have objects near me, like a deck of cards, some dice, tokens, stuff like that. And I will go out of my way to just like hold them in my hands and like play around with them and, you know, create layouts. And that can turn into designs in their own, because like, you know, at a certain point I start applying rules to the things that I'm doing physically, right? It's sort of there's an old card game that you would essentially do that, where you would sit there and you'd do something and you would pretend like that was the rule of the game, and then somebody would have to yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's I forget the name of it, but essentially your it's almost not so much opponent, but your collaborator has to figure out what the rule of the game is, and then modify it in their own way, in their turn.
Yeah, and that's kind of the key word, right? Collaboration, right? And I think that's sort of how I think of game design, where it's just like, you know, you're going alongside it and you're trying to figure it out. And it's nice because, like, you know, I have a, you know, a gaming group, and I can bounce off ideas, and yeah, it's rewarding too, because like, you know, again, it's like, you know, you created something, right? And is it gonna work, right? So I'm constantly on this sort of activity.
Yeah. Do you mind if I have you share one of the games you were telling me about that you're working out currently?
Yeah. So I just looking at my little alien on the screen compared to yours, and it's very funny because it's like mine's almost like a McDonald's
eco-friendly. Yeah. Like can I pitch an idea for like the background of this character?
Yeah.
I imagine that it's like some like super polluting anti-environment like mega corporation that put out a puppet like mascot to get kids to recycle like tin cans, even though it makes no impact on the environment. And he like, these aliens are just blissfully like zealous to the goal, even though it's not really doing anything.
See, I was thinking in my head, right, what would be extremely funny is if you have this very, like, you know, nice looking, pleasant, happy, leafy race, but they are technically a weed. And so they go over and they collect trash from different alien planets, and they seed the heck out of that planet. Oh no. And that's just the way that they propagate.
Yeah. It almost, do you think they do that knowingly, that maybe their weeds are an invasive species that are like killing the planet actually?
Oh, I mean, I would think that that's the best way to go about it, right? Because you know, the empire's got to grow somehow.
That's okay. So despite their chipper demeanor, they're actually extremely malevolent.
Yeah, it's like who's gonna stop you from taking over a planet if everybody's gone, right?
Yeah.
So they'll cover the whole planet in weeds and make it uninhabitable for everybody except for them. Yeah, I like that.
And actually, from a game mechanic, that's actually like. And here's the thing, like, it's interesting how our character designs actually did help a lot of the mechanics of like the players could make in the game when we were first iterating the first edition of the concept, the rough concept. Because like what you're explaining now is like, okay, we can have this character be able to cover more area on the map that makes it difficult for other players. Like there's some fun ideas here that just come from the designs.
Yeah. So there's specifically a phrasing for things, right? Where there's top-down design and there's bottom-up design. And in game design, a lot of that has to do with theming, right? And the relationship of theming towards game mechanics. And so from bottom-up design, it means that you're essentially saying like, here are the mechanics, and then we apply a theme to it based on what those mechanics mean, right? So for example, if there's an alien race that has better stats in the water, right? So that their mechanic is that they have better usage in the water. Then you apply, okay, well, like they're good in the water, so I guess I'll make them an aquatic race of aliens, right? That's bottom up design. Top down would be, I want an aquatic race in this game. What kind of mechanics would they have? And then you do it like that. Yeah. So like sometimes they get to the same endpoint, but the approach for both ways can be very different in terms of like what you end up with.
Yeah.
And it's a very common sort of discussion, good discussion point in game design in both like video games and tabletop too. It's very fun. All right, so explain to me a little bit more of what you got here. I'm looking at. So
this is
sure.
This is the Grox. It's a species of curmudgeon-y aliens that are usually tasked with sanitizing maybe malls or like conventions, like not places like hospitals, which I'm talking about places where there's just like a lot of people and these guys just are not happy that there's so many people. Public pools, right? Like they're just kind of always put in places where they have to be socially like close to people, which they're not comfortable with. So the concept, I think the story that I'm improvising here, I think is also coming from the idea that I shaped his head to look like the fucking COVID like virus. Which I think is kind of fun, and the nodules on the head made me think a lot of like a triceratops. And so that's why he has like kind of that horn in the middle of his face.
Yeah, because I looked at his mouth and I was like, oh, I think I know what's going on here.
Yeah. Because first when I so here's I'm gonna do a little bit of erasing real quick just to see just so you can see how some of the ways you draw these lines can change the character. Because I got to this point with this face and I didn't even have the feet like this yet. And when you get to that point, like you could really this is a different kind of character. Actually, I don't want to redraw it to lose the lines, but essentially, like, hold on, let me do this real quick. I can do a redraw like this. So we're gonna erase that. We're gonna erase this grumpy little kind of dinosaur mouth.
Yeah.
And then let's go ahead and like he could have easily like had a mouth like right here, and now he it's a different kind of face, or maybe like we could have given him a mustache, and then that's a kind of different character. Like I wouldn't want to draw a nose because a nose feels a little too human, and I think that's why I've been avoiding them for my alien designs.
And I think like the uniqueness of like, oh, here's a design, but like what is something that is sort of being applied to it that just comes spontaneously, right? And the whole like, prehistoric animal thing, right? Where you're just like, oh wow, that's a unique idea, right? It's different from just slapping a personified trait on them like a mustache or something like that, right?
You can also make him look a little more like a little tough with like little.
Oh,
scratches.
just the dirty kid from Peanuts.
Pigpen.
Pigpen, yeah.
But in the end, like this dinosaur thing was kind of fun because like it's a dinosaur alien. Like that's yeah, I thought that was interesting. So tell us about your character. How do you pronounce that? Gumupu?
Yeah, the Gumupu.
The Gumupu.
Yeah, and I we pretty much went over it, right? Where it's like, this is a race of aliens that are super friendly, outwardly like super cool, friendly guys, and they're super optimistic, and they're all about cleaning and helping the environment because, like, just the visual of like this leafy green that steps out of the spaceship and be like, hey guys, I'm here to take out the trash, right? And then just applying the sinister aspect of like while they're on your planet picking up trash, they are just seeding it like a parasite, like a weed. I feel like that's this sort of two-sided, like two-faced nature of them is really unique compared to all the other races that we've kind of been doing. I think that like that whole idea is just, it can mean so much for gameplay because going back to the whole discussion about like bottom up top down design, right, where you had the block soul who were cultists, and so they sacrificed the trash, right? And so I can only imagine what a race of beings who are weeding a planet, how they perform in a board game like that, right?
Yeah, totally. How did you come to the shape or like the idea of this kind of
so immediately, it's funny because like I this time I went with the name first. I just put down a name, and then from then I was like, okay, I like what's something that gives me green, right? And immediately the first thing in my head was like, oh yeah, leafy green, right? And so from there, I just kind of just drew more of a like I didn't want to put too much clothing on him because like if he's already made of nature, if the idea is that this is something that is organic, having their limbs kind of breathing freely, and then having very light clothing.
Yeah, I like the Venus flytrap limbs, and also the line that you put between the face makes me imagine that like if those goggles weren't like holding it together, that it could open up.
Yeah, this could be some kind of like horrible, horrifying, awful monster. Yeah, it's very two-faced. I love it.
Great. All right. Let's do the next one, and let's go ahead with a compliment and go into our red, just our plain red.
Plain red. All right.
All right. I'm gonna put 5 minutes on the timer, and here we go.
Cool.
Again, like the ridges that we created for the original concept is so stuck in my brain, and I've redrawn that character so many times. I really got to think of something different here.
Yeah, this is interesting, right?
Okay, I think I have an idea. I don't know how original it feels. Okay. Gosh, I don't know if this is gonna read. No. I'm not doing too good, Kasu.
No, you got this. You got this.
Redraw.
I think one thing I've been trying to take a few more art classes. I actually did my first live figure drawing class in person at the community center around here. And one thing I realized is, you know, I have a lot of way that I draw that is muscle memory, like in my cartooning, very second nature. And I have to realize that when I'm trying to learn something new, or if I'm trying to come up with a new idea, I have to learn how to let go of a lot of my second nature, like a lot of my muscle memory when it comes to drawing, because then I just lock into the same kind of ideas and shapes, and I just kind of repeat myself. So I think that's why I'm having so much trouble with this character right now, is because I was trying really hard not to do a Ridiz, and I think I psyched myself out too much, but I think we're getting somewhere. How are you doing?
I restarted.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I used up my 5 minutes psyching myself out. Oh, that's so funny. All right, let's see what I can do here. The 5 minutes. The 5 minutes is a guideline. It's we're all friends here. We're all. Folks,
it's not a race.
Folks watching
I mean,
at
it
home.
is. But...
Folks watching at home, you won't tell. You won't. I think also as we continue, because this is only the first 3 out of 15, as we continue drawing, we're gonna really be like exhausting, kind of like our initial instincts in creating, and I hope we go into a flow state where we discover new ideas, but we'll see. We might also just be mentally exhausted by the end of this thing. So.
That is true.
So I think what I'm trying to go for here is a little bit of a pitiful character. I drew them kind of like down on all their limbs with a rag, and I just gotta think of like that's kind of the shittiest job, is to just be wiping down, maybe like, I don't know, not even being given the proper tools. But I'm trying to think of what the story is with this guy.
Yeah, I think that's the other thing. It's just like building a narrative visually.
Yeah. Actually, I think you just gave me a great idea. Let me see here. Maybe he doesn't have to be so pitiful.
Redraw.
I'm loving your guy already.
Yeah, you know, I had a concept of what I kind of wanted to do with this, and also just to make it so much more different than the Reedies, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's difficult getting the right exact vibe for what you want. But I think it's coming along a little bit. Now it's just mainly kind of thinking about how I wanted to solidify the story.
Redraw.
That feels like something so far. Ah, that's looking really good.
What's the sort of vibe that you're kind of like
Oh
thinking?
no, I'm talking
Like, what
about-
did you
I'm talking
actually
about-
end up landing on?
I'm talking about yours. I think mine's a little piece of garbage. Maybe, I mean, fitting, I suppose.
Is that? I mean, it's sort of giving me like you know, octopus mixed with like a lobster, maybe.
Yeah, which is not too far off from the Rid is.
Just more like more red and angry aquatic creatures.
I think shark with devil horns. That's a concept. That's you got to carry that outside of this stream. Like you got to do something with that.
Well, I mean, if the game ends up picking up again, I
Yeah.
mean, writes itself.
Okay, I think this guy needs like a. There we go. Some kind of carapace.
Give him like a Koopa shell.
Yeah, some kind of like spine tech.
I think maybe this is like a sort of like a fragile sort of race that needs so many apparatuses to actually function.
That's kind of what the Brograk, or that second concept for the Brograk was, and also.
Oh yeah, because they had their
Right.
cybernetics, yeah.
And then also the second concept for the Riddis was also that they were in a mech suit, which originally in the first concept they weren't. They were just some grumpy dudes in overalls.
Yeah, which has merit.
But I think what I'm trying to do with this guy is like make these like more like treasure hunters. So basically like kind of like the folks that comb like the deserts for like garbage, like in the sand.
Oh yeah. On the planet of Jakku.
Yeah, this is definitely one where I'd say I think the idea is a little overcomplicated, but we gotta deal with the cards that we were dealt.
Yeah, I think the phrase is like the term that we really wanted to push hard is just like the whole commit part, right?
Yeah. I think I still got across my original feeling for this character, which is I wanted to make a kind of pitiful, like they're crawling on the ground.
Yeah, I think what I wanted to get across with this one is that like sort of the opposite of what you're going for in terms of like, instead of it being this like pathetic race of aliens, it's sort of this like aggressive race like the Gregnor, but maybe in a way that utilizes the red more, right? So like in my head I was thinking, okay, so like red, demon, devil, lava, right? And so I was thinking, okay, well, like what if we brought together kind of this thing where it's a shark and their whole planet is like a lava, like a Mustafar planet, and they freely swim through the lava like completely free and normal, and that's sort of the basis of their entire culture. And maybe their whole thing is that they use blast furnaces and like lots of hot molten technology.
Like they're the planet that incinerates all the garbage, essentially.
Yeah. And like maybe because of that, like their whole thing is that they have sort of perfected the speed of garbage disposal, because like it's so easy for them to deal with high temperatures.
Alright, I'm not super stoked on mine, but I'm gonna go ahead and start coloring this.
Oh, looking real slimy, yeah. He looks like he's a few days away from retirement.
He looks like a piece of like shrimp I'd eat.
He looks like something that fell on the floor while we're eating.
Actually,
like poor guy.
That's a great like description for this character.
Yeah. He's a scrap of food.
He's looking for scraps. I would imagine gameplay-wise, there would be a disadvantage to this character in that maybe they don't move as freely. They move a little more slowly across the map.
Yeah.
Takes them 2 turns to get across.
Something like that. Or maybe their whole thing is that like their race is their biology is sort of built for scavenging. So like maybe what they do is they spend a long amount of time scavenging like
one
location very thoroughly, and they actually sort of maybe go from this frail and wrinkly race to almost like a enormous like multi-limbed ball of a creature as they like carry all of the scavenged material inside them.
Yeah, kind of like those like forest bugs that create kind of homes out of logs or debris from the forest floor.
Like they like maybe that's their thing. Like they're their whole thing ideology is about being thorough, about detail. Because I mean, like, you know, with the large goggles, it kind of does give off sort of like a nerdy kind of vibe visually. So I feel like that would go together really well.
Recall. Do you remember? Redraw. Recall.
Gosh, great work on that shape for your character.
What was that?
Great work on that shape.
Yeah. So you didn't notice me like draw and delete like 2 other designs.
Oh, I did. I noticed it all.
Yeah. So as I was sitting there and I was like, okay, so like there's only so much time. I was like, okay, simplify. So just went ahead and just like, okay, like the big defining feature being, you know, the shark head. I'm like, oh wait, that's it, right? That's all I need. That's all you really need. And of course, like, you know, it does remind me of the Gregnor kind of thing, where it's just like a big head and you have this sort of like triangular buff body. I think it fits really well, especially like, you know, being in sort of this almost like mechanic jumpsuit. There's almost like a hot rod dive bar sort of vibe to him, and I think that really fits in with the whole like devil thing. And I think that's primarily why I went with like the 8-ball, because I was like, okay, it kind of gives that CD sort of aesthetic.
Especially if they're running like a kind of like a, what do they call it? Like a furnace, or like what do you call that? Like a furnace or a foundry, like, because where they dispose
like
the
foundry,
trash.
You're not gonna believe this, but I've totally deleted the wrong layer of my whole drawing.
Oh no!
So I lost the other 2, but I mean that's fine. These designs are pretty ingrained in my head, so I could probably redraw them.
Okay, I would say maybe you could you save us a separate? Well, this might be a pain in the ass, but like you could just copy your current like shark design and then undo until you get the old ones. I don't.
Oh, that's an interesting idea. Let me see.
I just don't want you to lose your shark guy either.
Yeah, well, I mean, worst comes to worst, we go back in the stream and I just screen grab, right?
Yeah. Honestly. Okay, I think this character is starting to come to me. He's kind of a Zoidberg looking guy, if I'm being honest.
I feel like a lot of aliens kind of end up in that genre. Especially like as soon, I mean, it doesn't help that the color is pretty much
Zoidbergification.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. See how far I can go.
Yeah, I wonder when you lost it.
Because it had to have happened while making this guy.
While you were maybe deleting some of the first concepts.
Oh, I think I hit my limit.
Dang. It's okay. We got screenshots from the stream, so we'll just use that.
Yeah.
This guy, he's there. I think he's there. Just little more red.
So his little, yeah, I like that. The whole like the you kind of made his little mandibles there a different color, and I think that
Yeah.
really takes it away from the Zoidbergness.
Yeah, I think that helps too. I think I'm trying to find maybe a nice contrasting color for the mechanical parts.
Do you remember?
It might be worth it to maybe think about his, I guess his markings,
Yeah, what do you think?
right?
I'm happy to take some
'Cause-
suggestions.
Because like doing those in sort of like a teal or something. Because like, if I remember the Reedies, they went with sort of a yellow jumpsuit, I think.
Yeah.
If I recall.
You think something to kind of make the color pop more?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. Try that out real quick. Maybe. I think something like this.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's perfect.
Yeah.
Just some contrast.
Mhm. I think I like what you said earlier about slimy, so I'm gonna try to just add a couple of highlight marks. And I call this one done. I call this shrimp done.
Now, what's the name of the alien
I
though?
need to think it out. I need to figure that out. Yeah, the blue helps a lot, I think. Actually, I can also bring some of those markings to like the arms here. Let's see how I might want to do that.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Yeah,
I
great.
was almost thinking that this is sort of like almost like a reference to like Chronicles of Riddick or something, because
The
it's like, you know,
goggles?
big bald head, little goggles. Yeah, yeah.
This is the Vin Diesel of this species. Yeah. Oh man, the blue helps a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then what I'm gonna do with that blue is I'm just gonna slightly tint it to a more. I'm just gonna take a look here. I think the blue's fine. I'm gonna put some opacity just so it has a little. It fits a little more with the red. Cool, I like that. All right. Just make this. Gosh, why did these guys take us so long? Much longer than the other two.
Yeah, I feel like it's weird because I feel like we were ready for it, but at the same time we just I guess the thematics didn't come into our head.
Nope.
Okay, well, I'm going to start thinking about this next color, but I do want to
you
know
pick-
about the race name.
Yeah, I need to figure out the name of my guy. One sec.
I think I do like this whole like almost like juvenile aspect of how, you know, yeah, that every single alien race is a monocolor with their name entirely based on the first letter, and it's like there's just something very cute about it. Like it would really fit in as like a, you know, Saturday morning cartoon. And you know, it's almost like it's almost like seasons or like waves of these aliens, right? Like these could be little collectible characters that are just like, we've made series 1, we've made series 2, you know.
Gosh, I can't think of a good name. Let's see.
What about the Rumpies?
I was thinking like Rundle, Rumpy, like there's something there. Rump.
The Rumpo? The Rimples? because it just makes me think of shrimp and pimples.
Rog.
Just Rog.
Just Rog. Rog is the middle child of these concepts.
Okay.
All right, tell me.
So I'm gonna go with. Yeah, go ahead.
No, actually, we talked about these characters already at length, so I'm ready for the next one.
Yeah. So for the next one, I think that it is in our best interests to go to blue.
Alright.
But I'm gonna say maybe a lighter blue. Let's not go with like the all the way deepest dark blue.
Alrighty, let's do a light blue, and then let me put whatever the timer's worth. I'm just gonna reset it.
I think red was just the unlucky color. Let's just say that.
Let's hope. Okay, let's focus
Yeah.
on not overthinking it. All right. Let me think back to my shape.
Do you remember?
Okay,
Alright, we're starting. Let's see
I'm
here.
onto something here.
Hmm.
Okay, this is coming much easier to me than the red one.
That is very good to hear.
Do you remember?
Gosh, I don't like this. Gosh, don't like tangent lines in my concepts. So my concept, I started with this like spiky shape. And I'm trying to think of other ways that you could dispose of trash, and really this is the counter to your, what was he called, the Beelzebub character?
Yeah, the Reezelbubs.
So the Beelzebubs use fire to dispose of trash. This character is going to use ice, dry ice, to like freeze it.
Do you remember? Do you remember?
I'm struggling. I'm struggling.
Gosh, the I hate the Rog so much. It spits in my
Just
face.
a constant reminder.
Just
Yeah.
looking at him. All my failures as an artist condensed into that character. Honestly, I'ma just say it. The Riddis was the perfect design.
It's hard to beat.
It's hard to beat the Riddis. Okay, I'm pretty stoked about this one though. And that's our 5 minutes for whatever that's worth.
I might need a second.
No, go for it.
I'm the trouble that you were having with Rog over there is what I'm kind of getting myself into.
Recall. Do you remember? Redraw. Recall.
I'm just gonna put a little black box over Rog. He's a little distracting to me.
He's an eyesore, if you will.
Oh yeah. Who is the I'm trying to think of a franchise. Who's the Rog of Mortal Kombat?
Rog, there's a few because I think of like it's funny because like a lot of the Glup Shidos in Mortal Kombat are so endearing because they're so like it's just a series that has a lot of just goofy characters.
Yeah.
And a lot of the goofy characters were made with that in mind, right? Where it's just like there's like a self-awareness to the series that I think is one of the reasons why I've been such a big fan of it, like my whole life, right? Where you have this sort of tongue-in-cheek universe setup where it's like, you know, a lot of the modern Mortal Kombat games sort of lose this, where it's like it's very, very serious, right? But a lot of those original games were like they were just like full of jokes and pop culture references, and it's a bit like how, you know, the original Doom was made, where it's just like you have this studio full of guys that are like very into particular things, and they want to put the things that are influencing them into their game. So like the music of the time, etc., etc. And Mortal Kombat's pretty much the same thing.
So who's a Glup Shido? Like is that guy's name?
I think like
Jarek?
Hornbuckle. Yeah, Jarek's a Glup Shido. Well, I mean, like the thing is like you have playable Glup Shidos. Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance so Glup Shidoed out because you had so many characters that were brand new but like don't have staying power. So like dudes like Cobra, Kira, Darius. In the same era, like the 3D era also has a lot of just dudes in general. So you have like Meat and
Meat,
Mawlok.
that's right,
And yeah.
Did they bring Meat back in the latest one? No, I'm
they're
thinking about,
always
sorry,
there's
I'm thinking about the guy Carnage, or who's the guy who like can turn his
Havoc.
Havoc, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, Havoc. Yeah, Havoc was one that's very like self-aware. Like this is an overtly like ridiculous character that they were like, yeah, let's just bring him back because like there's just reference there.
It looks like Dom is not happy about the Rog jail. Dom.
Yeah, you know, there's always gonna be a Rog fan out there.
Recall. Do you remember? Redraw.
Who's the Rog of Street Fighter?
I mean, it was Dan Hibiki, but
Nah,
then they made that character
yeah,
more serious, right?
Yeah, no, people love Dan.
Yeah. It would be people from like this first Street Fighter game, probably like Eagle and stuff like that. Birdie sort of turned into that.
I like Eagle.
Where it's
Wait,
like, here's a series.
Eagle. He's. Oh no, I'm thinking about Rolento. Who is Eagle?
Eagle is the Anfa fighter. It was in CVS as a guest character, and then that was it. That's all they gave him.
I don't think I remember Eagle. When I had my buddy Xer on, he challenged me with remembering not Abigail. I gave him Abigail. He challenged me with Remy.
Yeah, that's my favorite. That's my goat right there.
Okay, but I thought Remy was Dudley, and so I instantly started drawing because the names just sound so fancy to me that I thought it was the same guy.
That's awesome.
It was not.
So this might be just the absolute like worst I've done so far in terms of a career. This is my ROG right now.
We all have a ROG moment.
Yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this guy or what, but man, this guy sucks. This dude stinks. I don't know what I was going with him. Like I really was like, oh, maybe I do like space pirate thing, right? But man, there's just nothing to tie this dude together with what he's supposed to be.
Hey, he's got
like
he's got 2 stacked eyes. He looks
yeah,
like,
I mean that was the thing that was interesting.
He looks like the Leather Daddy version of the Biclops from Chalk Zone. There's a deep cut.
Yeah, he's like the yes, he's like the like he's like if you took like one of those hot dogs from 7-Eleven that's rolling on the grill, and it just you and you just gave him like the whole Pride Parade kit. This is it.
The least he can do is just color the alien. That's the least we can all do with our.
That's the least that we can do.
Our Glub Shadow characters, our ROGs. Gosh.
Yeah, we have to put we have to fill out the world, right? There's gotta be some duds.
I don't know. I can keep ROG in the ROG jail. I don't need.
Yeah. Like this is definitely somebody who doesn't make the cut in terms of does their alien species get put into the qualifier,
Recall.
Do you remember?
If I had to make up a sort of story, I guess though.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I think it's only fair, right? So if I go with this sort of like weirdo biker gang thing, right? Maybe this dude is sort of part of a wider association of like adventurer biker gang kind of vibe, right? Where maybe it's almost like a because I kind of like have this going on with this like ray gun over here, where it's almost like a pulp like vibe, pulp sci-fi vibe, right? So maybe the whole thing with this is that this is like sort of like a pulp adventure hero, right? And maybe his gang of miscreants are all like made up of different alien races, and they all sort of come together to adventure together as a crew.
All in the service of trash.
Yep, all on the surface of trash. It's another job.
The jolly adventure of trash.
I think that works, right?
I think so. He just looks so hopeful. Stevie says He's the type of dude to zap you if your car wash water goes into the ocean drain.
I like him. He reminds me of Monster Inc. Hazmat dude become a cop. I'm trying to avoid him being a cop. I think that's the thing. I started going with that, and then I was like, wait, I think it's. I don't want to make him a cop.
We need somebody in the universe that puts the Rogs in the jail.
Oh yeah, maybe this is like a sort of like
Enforcer.
Yeah, like almost like a commercial military, commercial like paramilitary mercenaries where they just can act as muscle, right? They're like the Pinkertons, you know?
Yeah. Gosh, the Rog just sucks. I'm looking at him again.
I think he's fine as a piece of the universe. What's interesting is that, like, you know, maybe once I get the game off the ground, we can come up with because like I told you my my new idea, right, where it's like almost like FTL, where the game, instead of revolving around a specific crew of one alien race, you'd be recruiting different aliens into your ship, and they would perform actions for you.
Yeah.
And they'd be represented by the cards themselves. Cool. Yeah. So like the more diversity that we have across the board, that's going to be like a big plus. So making these is actually like great for the future of Garbage Galaxy in general. All right, well, your pick is up.
Yeah, let me. Well, I think we're reaching 9:30. So I think.
Oh, don't tell me we ended the challenge
with
on
your guy.
Rog. And
what is the name of your alien anyway? It's got to be something like the B something commandos or something, like, or militia or something.
Do you remember? Recall. Recall.
Like Blorpo.
Yeah, like because it's like Corpo, Blorpo. Yeah. Blorpos. That's
It's too close to Paul Blart.
Blarto.
Blarto.
Yeah, maybe if we do it with the D, then it's not so on the nose, right? Blardo.
Blardo's good. Like Blardo Militia or Blardos.
Yeah. Watch out for the Blardos.
Mine are called the Blichka.
Tell me about this.
So, again, this was a response to your what do you call him, Reelzebub or Reelza?
Yeah, the Reelzebubs.
Can you bring him back on the screen?
Yeah.
So the Reelzebub, I thought was a really great concept. So have somebody who's in charge of like the fire incineration of trash, and I thought a version of it that uses dry ice instead. And these two are naturally enemies. No, they're competing trash disposal companies that think their ways are the better ways. And the Blichka are just completely like sullen, and like they grew up in like I basically just an icy hellscape where there's no joy. And so
in Siberia.
You made the joke. I didn't. I stopped myself. You did.
You kind of hard to say that you stopped yourself when you named them that.
So the Blichka, I think came together very nicely. Rog, get out of here. I don't want to look at you, Rog. But yeah, do you mind zooming out to get your whole spread from tonight? We for just doing 4, we did pretty good.
Well, considering the thing that happened earlier tonight.
Oh shoot! Yes. Okay. So we'll make sure to I'll grab screenshots of those. But yeah, Kasu, thank you for being another great guest. And we got to get you back on to finish these. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like this is excellent.
Yeah, by next time I'll probably replace the Rog. Or I just feel like there's another way to do this character.
I mean, so here's the other thing you have to consider. Maybe instead of having these be represented, like if there's a certain character that doesn't feel right, you could always repurpose that as a specific character. Like this, instead of this being a whole race of garbage
Oh,
collecting
like a
characters,
shopkeeper or
maybe this
something.
is
Yeah.
yeah, something like that. And like I've also been thinking about like, well, how do we design the actual council that like is dictating the whole garbage
Right.
doctrines and stuff like that. That'd be cool to design as well.
Yeah. I'm already like rethinking the silhouette of this character. I think that's what's pissing me off. Is that I just had him lounging on the side like this. Really, I should have drawn him maybe a little more like this.
Like maybe what if he's standing on hind legs and he's almost like a Alice in Wonderland caterpillar, right?
I think that's exactly what it should have been.
Yeah,
But
just like looking over. Welcome to my shop. Blah, 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 Zoidberging again.
Folks, thank you for sticking around. For those who did this long, this is actually the longest stream that I've done. We're approaching 4 hours. I don't know anyone else who I would have been able to stream this long with besides you, Kasu.
Yeah, this was fantastic. I love this. There's nothing I don't love about just sitting down and designing characters, especially with just the gimmick of this. Like I've also considered like, oh man, like what if I revisit this whole idea of like what if we did the same thing where it's just like monocolor kind of thing, but for other themes, like maybe Halloween costumes, maybe like fantasy creatures,
Yeah, we might just bring up this color wheel thing again, and then rather than trying to honestly it was the hubris, trying to get all 15 colors done in one night, we just do like a spinner wheel thing where it's like, okay, next color is this. And maybe we have another one that has like a spinner wheel for a word generator. And then, you know what I mean?
Interesting. Yeah.
Cool. So for next time, Cassie, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your night. Everybody who stuck around, get some rest. It is late. And thank you for watching.
Yeah. And then you said that you'll have those comics out somewhere.
Yes, we'll post those comics on Blue Sky or Instagram. I'll post Kasu's as well. And also, you can follow Kasu on Blue Sky at Kasu Hearts or on X at Laylo the Tyrant. All right, folks, here's the outro. Have a good night. Holy shit, I am tired. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.